How are you?
I'm doing fine. Where is school board meeting today?
Well, it's in the boardroom, but you gotta do the whole loop.
Go around?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're wax that floor today.
Before we begin the meeting, I'll just remind everyone that we are live streaming.
Eating rush. Eating rush. The live streaming. From Ely?
Yeah.
How was your trip?
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was good up in trees.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Feel like
I didn't want to leave.
It's good from the highway side.
I
City Hall
wanted to
today.
It's
It's good from that side.
kids in the last, I looked, there was still so far out in the front, the last time there was so many bodies of the trees up on the lawn.
I don't know if they had grown up with
Yeah.
the freaking ground.
Yeah, we did. We had canoeing and we did swimming. Cleaning up too.
Right, so 7 o'clock, folks meeting for Spice for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. I'd like to welcome all visitors, all members of the public. Right, item 2.0, approval of the agenda. We have one revision on the agenda, and that would be item number 8.5 to accept and not accept the resignation of the Moxon Elementary para-educator. That's the only revision. So I'll be entertaining a motion to approve or not approve of the agenda. Second. So I have a motion by Director Mutter, seconded by Director Mackey, to approve the agenda for. To approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. All right, so item 3.0 consent agenda. And that will be minutes from regular board meeting, June 17, computer checks in hand, payables, payroll checks and direct depositing Minnesota State High School League resolution for membership. So, does anybody have anything they want to discuss? Anything that they're? No. Okay, so you're taking a motion then to accept or not accept the approval of consent agenda. Motion to accept. So we have a motion by Director Kristen, seconded by Director Marcus to approve the consent agenda. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. All right, public comments. Well, for public comments, generally they're limited to issues presented on this agenda. There's a 3-minute limit per speaker, 15-minute limit per topic. If anyone who wishes to speak tonight. And do any of the items, or is any of it that's not on the agenda?
Related to education.
But not to tonight's agenda?
I would assume that's education.
Okay, that's fine. If any of the items are not related to tonight's meeting directly, as a board, should we just go ahead and okay, yep. Sounds good. Okay, so you have the floor.
Thanks. I didn't think about the fact that you guys are recording. I'm going to give you copies of what I have just jotted down. And the general reason I'm here is I'm just a parent, grandparent, former school board member, all those types of things, teacher, etc. And I just wanted to present a couple of things to you and ask where you're standing on it and how you feel about it and if you've been thinking about it. The first one is, when I was on the school board, I know that the very first things we were told, and it was reiterated every time we acted State School Board Association, was children first. And so the reason I'm asking that is, does that always enter your mind when you make decisions? I don't know what your past education of school board stuff was, but I'm just asking the question. Number 2 says, will this year's education take place as in-school learning? Are students going to be free of masks, etc.? I think a lot of us are wondering where things are going. Number 3, what will be done to help students catch up with basics in general after last year's online experience? The reason I'm bringing that up is because I know we have some students who thrive on online, some who do not thrive at all on it. So I see the task of staff being even greater this year because you're going to have a wider spread. You know, if you're taking a first grader to second grader or vice versa, whatever, you know, that type of thing. And number 4, I did talk to your superintendent the other day, and she did state that Fosston will not be implementing critical race theory. I want to know how do we know that it is not being done by staff in their private classrooms? I think that's important to think about. And I personally am going to say that I feel that CRT has no place in schools. All students should be treated as 100% equal. Number 5, the classroom should be a place of learning. Hopefully our teachers are in the profession to motivate students to want to learn. The classroom should never be a place where political views of a teacher are used to influence students, of which I am aware has been done. Number 6, personally, as a lifelong citizen of Fosston, an educator, a former school board member, a grandparent, and a taxpayer of School District 601, I would like to see monthly articles in the 13 towns after each board meeting. Minutes in their brevity often leave citizens only partially informed. Parents and taxpayers should have a clear understanding of board actions and plans. It's, you know, when you go back and we look at minutes, it's sort of like looking at an agenda. It doesn't really tell me what you're talking about tonight. And I think that is something people want to know, especially in this day and age. Things have gotten very weird in the last few years, to say the least. And I want the best for our school, and I hope you guys do too. Do you have any questions of me?
No, I don't, but some not really, and I guess as far as further discussion on this, a better place might be outside the meeting where, you know, there's more time, there's more freedom of action and everything, so.
And I would just hope that you guys will, you know, try to interact and think about these things. And maybe there's topics in here that you could, you know, bring up at a board meeting from there. What are we going to do if? How are we going to treat this situation so that instead of being shocked by it happening and saying, oops, you can say, yeah, we planned for this and we're ready for it, you know. So I'm just concerned. So thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other comments? Any student, staff, constituent reports? I presume not, it's summertime. So item 6.0, finance. Fund balance report, so we're going to
This is our last fund balance report post audit for the fiscal year 21. We still have some revenue that hasn't come in, and there was expenditures that we still need to finish. The teacher contract, they are waiting for their period in August, and we start the new teacher work in September, so that's to be finalized. You know, I like the percentage form that Joan fills out for us to see where we are, our expenses for fiscal year 21 and revenues. You know, we did come in under budget for some things. Again, with revenues, state funding especially, there's about 10% rollback that we get usually first, kind of fit close out the year. So we haven't captured all of our revenues yet. But thankfully, there's been no talk of withholding it this year. So we're fortunate.
For June 30th, that would be the end of the fiscal year.
Yes.
We're just waiting on a couple things to come in still.
Yes, our fiscal year runs from July 1 to June 30th. And all the funding streams follow that, except the state has a holdback. They give you, right now it's 90-10, give you 90% during the fiscal year and 10% of your funding. Usually September, October is when you get the rest of it. And then again, the teacher salaries, they're prorated out through the whole year, and they're paid in their last day of August 30th, based for this current fiscal year. So, but when they do the audit, they have those numbers and they take that into account. So, any other questions about the finance report? We still have, if you look at the bond account, and we still have retainage with Dr. Stam because of the door work that they were continuing to do, and the epoxy flooring in the science rooms that had to be finished. But as I've said before, we are going to have, we have to pay the other half of our blinds order, which is about roughly 50,000. We have about 130 to Bradbury Stam, and there's a couple other things here. So we are going to have a little bit of bond funding left. Talk about that, and we'll have to make some decisions about if we want to channel that, if we want to channel it and just finish off some of the LTFM things, or if there's one more thing that we want us to do. So be thinking about that. I think we'll have a better idea of what that balance will be. We'll come back into August. Anything else?
Thank you. Okay, moving on, 2.0 reports. Elementary principal.
Yeah, and I do not have a formal written report. It's just a review from the June meeting. I would like to give you updates. Just in regards to summer school programming, our Learning Academy was completed at the beginning of July. Very successful. Same with our 21st century. And just an update on our pre-K summer school that started this week. We completed day 3. Our target number was 10 students, and we have 8. So we're very pleased with that. And like I said, it started this week, and it will go until August 13th, going Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 8 to 3. And then they have field trips planned for each week. Yesterday they went to the library. They'll be going back to the library again next week, working closely with the Fosston Public Library in regards to activities at that time. So we're very pleased with our summer programming, with our earlier programs for the summer, and then our start for pre-K. So very positive. So I'd like to thank all those folks who helped out with our Learning Academy. We have Lucia Rude, Tracy Olson, and Tracy Murphy, and then we had 3 pairs also. So, and then along with our 21st century, and that was Deb Pfeiffer's last hurrah. So when she completed 21st century, she is no longer with us, which is a sad deal, but I'd like to thank her for all of her work again, and all those people that worked this summer. Now for pre-K summer school, we have Holly O'Shea. I had mentioned that last time in June, and then we have Melissa Hamburger Isopera that works with Holly. So I will keep you updated. Actually, it'll be completed before our August meeting, so I'll have an overview of the whole program in our August meeting. Just a quick update: enrollment, no changes there. I'm anticipating in the next month though that we'll see some movement, hopefully on the positive end, and we'll keep you posted on that. Staffing, we had a retirement with Denise Bierstead, and then Skylar Nietzsche, she's on the agenda. She was a kindergarten para, so we're looking to fill those positions still at this time. There is a recommendation for one of the positions, and that's on the agenda tonight, but we are still looking to fill another position for sure, and just see where our needs are if we need to look at further positions. But it's always difficult getting applications, especially in the last few years. but we have received a couple more applications for para positions, so which is very promising. So just received one yesterday. So we have 2 applications. Well, when they come in, I usually call them in right away. So you got to jump on it. It's not like you have a pool that you can choose from. So, but so far, I mean, I'm hopeful that we'll get those positions filled. And just a thank you to our custodians. With all the summer school going on this summer, there's been a lot of different rooms being used and how they've been maneuvering this summer. It's so Neil, they've done a great job over at the elementary. A lot of different things going on, and with our probably basically 4 programs going for the month of June, and now we still have 2 running right now. They're having to work around that, and so they've done a great job. One last thing in regards to pre-K, we are having a screening on August 10th. And that will, Lynette Schwartz, our new early childhood coordinator, is heading that up right now. So that's what I have. And if you have any questions, let me.
Just clarify. So for enrollment, there hasn't been anybody notifications for leaving the district or coming in?
We've had a couple come in. I made mention of that in June. Okay. And so I know of two for sure that are coming in to be added to the elementary. It's just this next month is usually when we have people start making decisions. And I don't anticipate people leaving. I anticipate people coming in. Right. So I'm hoping that number is a good number.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. That's one question. Okay, so moving on then, go on to superintendent report. So Chase.
I'll just update you with Mr. Crump's report. Did not come in virtually tonight. The high school also finished the summer school program. They also took a field trip every week. We had kids planning vacations for families of 4 and doing budgeting for that and having to explain how and why they did that. There were a number of other research projects that were completed and this was with our 7th and 8th grade program. It was hands-on, and I think it's probably the first time in a while that we've offered in 7th and 8th grade programming. So I believe we had, and I looked at the numbers in the last week, but I believe we had about 13 or 14 kids that participated in that. We were, obviously hoping we'd have more, but 13 or 14 is a starting point for. And then we had a number of students recover credits. 9 to 12th grade students recover credits so that they can move on, and true 10th graders, true 11th graders, true 12th graders. Mr. Krupp said we had 2 that finished up what they needed so that they could be considered graduates. So we didn't have many in that class that needed to be passed. He has the CSTAC training, that is crisis management, crisis intervention training that we had mentioned. We have a grant provided by by the Council of Collaboratives, and we are cooperating with law enforcement, with other schools, with Northwest Mental Health, and they're all being trained in crisis assessment, risk assessment with individual schools, primarily with when there are threats of violence to this point, but then some of the training will also include how to intervene if someone threatens to hurt themselves. So we're in the process of that. We both building principals are doing that along with teams from each school and myself. Then we will have a site training in August, and we actually two trainings in August, one here and one in Crookston. Finish this out. It's the 2-year process, and we'll be working on the crisis manual to wrap that up. Mr. Crump also shared enrollment. You can see that we really haven't had a lot of change since June. And again, we're anticipating, typically people start enrolling in August, sometimes mid-August. So we're hoping that these numbers pop back up and come back to pre-pandemic levels. We do have, and just backtrack a little bit, on our website, we do have a link to our learning plan for the coming year that describes what will happen. The MDE confirmed today that there is no mask mandate for students in schools, that the individual schools making the decision. We currently are under CDC guidelines and federal mandates for buses, which will get a little complicated to try and figure out how we have kids wear masks on buses and not when they get to school, but that might change. We've also stated that in our plan that we will allow masks if that's the choice that a family makes. There is no option to do any distance learning. It's not approved by the legislature, so that is not an issue for us. However, hybrid learning in individual cases can be done, and if the student needs to stay home because they're ill, we will probably work to make sure that they can stay out of. And that's something that the leadership teams of both buildings will be working on, developing information on. So that kind of ties together with mine. Superintendent report. You may have heard in the news, we've talked about the Enbridge tax case and how that could impact our budget. The state has, in this most recent legislative package, they did include funding to pay counties so that the counties can pay those taxes back. So there should be minimal impact to school districts. In terms of our audit that was just complete, you will get a complete report in October. But we did have, as I've said, we did have a positive fund balance. Our overall general fund, our unassigned fund balance has increased, and we have several areas where we have a carryover, significant carryover, and under this year's rules, we are allowed to move some funds around. For example, we have a significant carryover in CFE, or excuse me, in community education. And so we're allowed to move that into another fund if we need to. And so in August, I will be asking you to approve some of those requests to move funds around. Typically, those funds are assigned to those accounts that can't ever move them. So you could build up a big balance in one and have a deficit somewhere else, and normally you can't move them around. But because of the pandemic, they're allowing us to do this, and we have some things coming up with the curriculum things that I would like to assign some of those funds to curriculum purchases. So I'll be asking that in August, and of course you'll have a lot more information in them. The exterior door installation is in process. The epoxy floor in the science rooms are complete. You can have a chance on them right now. You can open the doors so you can take a look at those. The door install, I'm not exactly sure when they're going to be complete, but we're watching to make sure that there's no gaps and that it's a product that we can be pleased with. And then the last thing that I'd like to share with you is the newsletter that we've been working on. This is draft 3, I think, or draft 2. So I've been working with Sue Simmons in Richards Publishing. We gave her the information and then a lot of pictures, and she's just been putting it together for us. This will be folded so that it's like it'll be folded kind of like this, but bigger, and you can compare it so that it can be bulk mail. Our plan is to mail it to our district and surrounding areas. We're hoping to get some of Bagley and some of Winnie and Director Munter, I might need your expertise on this.
I'm just gonna ask her for a discount.
So I would like, if you had a chance to take a look at this, I'd like some feedback. I know there are a couple typing things that we need to clean up, but is there something that you'd like us to emphasize more? Is there things too busy? What are your thoughts?
I was reading through it. I think it looks great. There's a lot of good things happening in the district, has happened here over the last couple of years, and I think this is a good way to highlight it and get people's attention. So I really like it.
Yeah, I thought it looked really good.
Yes.
So she does a good job up there. I like working with her. Yeah, so it's a good attention grabber. Yeah. If you send something to someone that's kind of sparse, they might not look at it. This is full of very interesting things.
And so did you say this is going out to every address in the district then?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and is it going to be addressed, or is it more of a blanket, like a direct mailing, like everybody, if you call the post office and you say how many people you have, and you just chuck it in everybody's box? It's everybody, yeah. And like I said, I want to try and hit some of the Bagley area and some of the Map area as well. So, like I said, that's why I need your expertise, Director Miller. Yeah. I guess the only thing that I would suggest for more information, like for people that don't have as much interaction with what goes on here, is maybe adding a what's new type thing, like if there's Christmas programs or, something significant that people might not hear about. Stuff like that, new teachers. And, anything big, introducing people to a lot of the good stuff that's being put into the school. People are, want to know where the money is being spent, and they don't necessarily have time to come in here and look around and see. But it'd be kind of fun to show them all the changes that are going on. I'm looking for good around here. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Did I read that there was mention of the new egg programs?
Yeah, different box around it or something.
Okay.
Because that's what I was looking for on here. I think that. Okay. It's something that is interesting, people are going to be interested in hearing about.
Yeah. Okay. I was planning to do another kind of a construction video tour again, like I was doing last summer. Goes along on Facebook and website, but that's almost another whole brochure in itself. Any other suggestions, thoughts? Certainly, if something pops in, and then you want to let me know tomorrow or Monday. Just like to get it going. I'd like to get it mailed out before the 1st of August, because
That's good too.
good idea. Thank you. And that's my report.
All right, James. Great, then moving on. 8.0 personnel. So, item 8.1, approve or not approve the 2021-2022 fall coaching assignments. You all had that in the packet. See the list of names. Does anybody have any comments or questions? No? Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve or not approve the fall coaching assignments.
So moved.
Okay.
So we have a motion to approve the coaching assignments. Motion by Director Christian, seconded by Director Marcus. Any other discussion at all? Okay, so we'll take a vote on it. All those who approve.
Aye.
Any not approved? Okay, motion carries to approve. Item 8.2. Accept or not accept a request to negotiate 2022 to 2025 superintendent contract. So this is something you know that every 3 years generally. Right. Yeah. That we do. So Superintendent Chase has given us kind of a heads up, you know, as to what she'd like to do. So I'll entertain motions. A motion there. Move it up. Okay. Okay, so I have a motion to accept the request to negotiate 2022-2025 contract with Superintendent Shades. Anybody have any other comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any? Okay, motion carries. Alright, so item 8.3, we have a motion to approve or not approve recommendation of hire Beckett, is that correct? Haven Beckett as elementary educator. You want to give us more information?
Absolutely. Like I mentioned earlier, we had one applicant earlier, about 3 weeks ago, for her position at the elementary. So we contacted Haven and Nicole Helber for the interview committee. We interviewed Haven. She did very well. She completed her first year at Northern Community College last year in early childhood, and we're looking at placing her in the kindergarten room under the direct supervision of Nicole Helber. And feel like she can do a very good job under that direction and supervision. And she has aspirations to continue. She just needs to know what it's like in the trenches. So she wanted to if she had an opportunity to take it and be in the early childhood environment. And I feel she'd be a very good hire for us.
I think I remember seeing pictures of her helping out over at elementary when she was in.
She did, yeah, school of work. She worked at the elementary. Yeah, she's familiar with the building and most of the staff. Yeah. And she would be, well, that's another agenda item. It's a resignation, so, but
I'll make the motion to approve the recommendation to hire Haven Beckett.
Okay, so we have a motion by Director Kristen, seconded by Director Butler to approve the hire of Haven Beckett as elementary paraeducator at step 1. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 8.4, approve or not approve hire of Melanie Emma Olson as high school special education teacher, EA step 1.
Yes, we had, with Deb Pfeiffer's resignation, of course, retirement, Deb Pfeiffer's retirement, there, of course, was a special education opening. Practices to open it in-house first, and we did have the high school licensed staff person, who Sarah Phelps, who applied to move to the elementary. So now we have this high school opening. We have had it posted. We've had a special education position posted since you approved Deb's retirement. We have had limited applicants, and we actually have had experience with this individual. She has worked with students that this position would be involved with during as a substitute teacher, and has done very well with this. And so Mr. Crump spoke with her. She would be eligible for a Tier 1 license, but we do have to have a formal offer of a position before we can apply for the Tier 1 license for her. And so Mr. Crump went through the interview process with her. and it's recommended that she be offered the position so she can obtain Tier 1 license, and she is planning to go take some college classes, and if things go well this first year, we hope to have her become a full license. The recommendation is that.
Any comments at all? Okay, so entertain motion.
Motion to approve the recommendation. Okay.
So I have a motion to approve the hire Capital Olson as high school special education teacher, PA step 1. Any other comments? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 8.5, this is the one that is amended and added to the agenda. Accept notice of resignation of Montessori Elementary educator Skylar Peachy.
Yeah, and Skylar joined us last year, and she was a kindergarten para, and she is a licensed teacher, and she definitely had aspirations to continue in her profession. Unfortunately, we didn't have any licensed teaching positions open, so she took another position, and I just wish her well. She'll be missed, but it's definitely someone I'll keep in touch with if there's something in the future. She did a very good job for us, so we'll miss her, but she'll do well.
Okay, so entertaining motions and
Motion to adopt the resolution.
a motion by Director Marcus, seconded by Director Munford, to accept the resignation of Montessori Elementary paraeducator Skylar Nietzsche. Any other comments, questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, move on to item 10.0, operational. Approve and not approve waiving technology fees for any family that completes the free and reduced application form. Do you want to comment any of this?
Yes. All families, all children will be free this year because of a federal waiver, and we didn't have to take part in that, but we decided it was important that no matter what. When that happens, as it did last year, families often don't fill out the free and reduced form, and that form is still required by the state in order for us to receive compensatory aid. In fact, we will be receiving about $100,000 less in compensatory aid this year because we have free and reduced forms filled out last year. And so we thought that perhaps this would be a way to encourage families. It's wonderful if all families filled out the form. That this might be a way to encourage families to fill out the form. There are some other incentives as well. There's for folks that qualify, there's reduced internet costs, some other benefits, but this would be available to any of our families that fill out the form. The technology fee is it's an insurance fee, and it's about $50 per child, up to $150 per family. I think that's our cap. And so this would help some families, well, help everybody. People involved in one. We have budgeted for this in our ESSER 3 funds, and it is an authorized use for those funds. So, encouraging people to, doesn't cover all of the family. Like, yep, we have a whole bunch of. And yeah, we fill it out once, and it covers it all. With all their. Yeah, I'm pretty good incentive.
Yeah.
That's a lot of kids.
Yeah. I thought this was a creative idea here too.
Yeah.
Do you know how much? I mean, you budgeted for it, but I'm just curious if you know totals offhand, what the district brings in for those technology fees?
It's $50 per child, up to $150 per family. So, without the budget in front of me, I couldn't tell you exactly how much, but I've definitely budgeted more than enough in Esther to take care of it. Every kid, so filled it out for every kid. I budgeted that much.
Less than 100,000.
Yes.
What we're losing over.
Yes.
Not those. Okay.
Yes.
And then with the free and reduced lunch applications, I know it gets mailed out. Is there an option for filling it out online?
There is, and that information should be included in the field.
Yes. Okay.
I'll double check it before we send it out to make sure, but I see the things like your newsletter. Highlight arrows. Yeah. But a few years ago we did where a couple of us directors that school night sat and like people gotten to do applications.
I was just gonna mention that because we didn't have any open houses last year.
Yeah,
so,
right.
So but yeah, it was a couple of years ago. We had some board members representing each other.
And that would, if we have board members that are willing to do that, that would be another really good outreach. We will have open house this year, and I'm hoping that we have general public coming in too. I think we should open it up to the general public, not only parents, so they can come and see their school. Okay.
Does that, do elementary students pay this technology fee?
Well, and I was just going to mention that because our elementary, this coming school year, it'd be our 6th graders that will take their devices home.
Okay.
Well, obviously different last year just because of the pandemic. But typically our devices stay in our movement. So there's no need for it.
Okay. And last year we used federal dollars to pay for all of the elementary. It's insurance basically is what it is on each computer, and we used federal dollars to pay for that. And we need to be prepared that students can take devices home if they have,
E-learning day or
if there's an e-learning day, or if they have to.
if they have a medical issue.
If they have a medical issue.
Yep.
Yes.
Alright, so I guess we're looking for a motion to approve or not approve the waiving of the technology fees.
Second.
So we have a motion by Ms. Table. Motion approved by Director Bunter, seconded by Director Marcus, to waive the technology fees for any family that completes the free and reduced application. Any other discussion on it? Okay, we'll go vote then. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 10.2, this is an annual thing. Authorization to seek bids for milk, bread, fuel, and snow removal. Of course, all necessary things, we go through this every year. Let's get a list in, and then we'll decide who we go with it at a later time with all that stuff. So we're looking for a motion for this authorization.
Motion to approve the authorization.
Second. So a motion to approve the authorization to seek bids for milk, bread, fuel, and snow removal. Record. Okay. Anyway, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 10.3. Before I go any further, we'll turn the floor over to Jason.
Thanks. I'm gonna stand up so I can at least try to point to some things for you folks, but,
Is this the one you want?
yep. So just go through your LTFM plan for the year. So talk a little bit about the history. I know, met with Dustin and Scott and gave them a little bit of a recap, but, Alice, I don't think we've been in, honest with the LTFM stuff yet. So a little bit of a recap, how much you get for funding, reconciliation of last year, and then just looking at a 3-year look ahead, and then going through the LTFM itself. So LTFM came out in about fiscal year 17, and it has slowly increased up to $380 a pupil unit, and that's maxed out. So, and you guys are maxed out on building age. So the only way you get more revenue now is if you increase students. If you lose students, you lose some revenue. So it's all based on the number of students that you have within your district. So it's not just for maintenance projects. It also covers our health and safety related items. So physical hazards, hazardous materials, health and safety management, fire safety, asbestos, indoor air quality, all of those. Now, historically, the district's budgeted about $32,000 for those, as well as some unplanned emergency repairs. And then there's a bond payment for the boilers from that 2015 project. So when we look at that, you get about $240,000, and you can see how that all shakes out with your committed bond dollars, your health and safety, and then that leaves you about $140,000 in actual projects that you can do annually. So, one thing to point out, your bond payments will retire in 2030, and that'll give you the full funding of LTFM for all those projects. So that project will be paid off. So when we look at what was completed in FY21, I'm not going to go through all these, just point out a handful of them, but I think it's important just to see that, you know, not only through the project, but your custodial staff is continually going through doing just a ton of different things. So, you know, door repairs at the bus garage, door replacements in the school, repairs to our kitchen equipment, our dishwashers, walk-in coolers, freezers, exhaust fans, some electrical repairs, painting. You guys have historically done a great job of coming through every summer and just painting in various areas throughout the buildings. Plumbing, miscellaneous plumbing repairs, roof repairs, playground repairs, and then here we have all the health and safety items. So this year a lot of asks went into the LTFM fund bucket. So auto-lift inspections, just all these kind of annual expenses that you have that kind of make up that $32,000. So when you reconcile it, at the end of the year, you spent about $112,000 of your LTFM. So you're carrying over a pretty good chunk of money into what is now this year, starting June 1st. So one of the other things that has been pretty fortunate is these are all projects that have been accomplished that were a part of the LTFM plan that were able to get done as part of the overall bond project. So east sidewalks grading, so that's coming out our doors 12 kind of by our shops and our room back there, getting all the sidewalks replaced, getting the grading redone, doing the high school exterior doors over on that side, the metal shop doors, our canopies, the A-ramp of the east. So that'd be kind of down our science hall at the end of it. Doing hot water coil in the offices, getting air conditioning or dehumidification in our woods classroom, as well as the weight room, and then the gym PA system. So those are all things that were at one time on the LTFM plan that we're able to get done through the project. So when we look at a 3-year project look ahead, what we talked about was getting some of the more nitty-gritty stuff done this summer, and then looking to the future and trying to plan out that 1937 a little bit. So we have our annual plumbing, electrical, mechanical, interior, and roof allowance. So those are annual payments that we don't really have anything slated for them, but we know stuff comes up every year within those, and Neil can do those projects. We added about 10,000 in roofing, just because we have a couple areas that need a little bit more attention. One kind of above the high school office, and the other one along this civic center wall. So I think, Neil, you were getting Herzog or somebody to come.
We have Herzog coming in and address some issues already.
You did, so good. I high school dishwasher replacement, high school cooler freezer replacement. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but in our things that we did last year, historically, those are things that we've been paying just to repair for, I think, the last 3 years, if my memory serves me. So looking at getting those replaced with some new stuff. And right now, it's a budget guess as we're trying to get in some official quotes on those. The next one is 1937 structural brick analysis. So the district has a proposal from Northland Consulting Engineers, a structural engineer, to come do a deep dive on that exterior of that 1937. So, and then tree removal along Highway 2 and courtyard tree trimming. That is complete. So, look at 2023. We have all of our allowances. Then we have some 1937 tuck pointing, basement locker room ventilation, Thompson Field fencing, and Mogelson South fencing in the back center. So we'll get to it, but that's a pretty good list of projects when it looks at cost-wise. So, and again, we'll talk about it, but I think that structural analysis is going to tell us a lot. And right now, Neil has the whole year to get some quotes in for some of these other ones so we can firm up what our plan might look like for next year. So, and then 2024, looking at roof allowance, I'm doing some more tuck pointing. So when we look at it, this is just our spreadsheet. This is our planning tool that we can use. What's nice about this is every year we can revisit it. We can simply move projects around and not have to recreate the wheel. As we move a year forward, we're adding inflation to each one of them. So this is a tool that we've been using for 7 years now as we've been working on this LTFM plan. So.
Structural engineers haven't been on site yet to do the evaluation.
Oh, not yet.
Still, okay.
Not yet. So this is the document that we submit down to the Department of Education. This is our base year. This is what we spent. So this is our reconciliation year. This is the projects that we're planning on doing this year. So that structural analysis, the cooler, freezer, dishwasher, and then 2023 is where we have some more of those big projects. So if you scroll down, actually go to the next slides. Yeah, I can put up at the bottom. Oh, sorry. All right. Way down on upper. Right there. So a bit of that down. So when we look at the funding coming into this past year, you guys have a $152,000 fund balance. You closed out the year with only spending that $112,000 with a $203,000 fund balance in LTFM. That carries us into what is now this year, where we're planning on spending or budgeting for $166,000. So we actually still are adding to our fund balance, bringing that up to $216,000. Then in 2023, we have about $400,000 of projects budgeted in. Not saying we're going to do all those. So that's where we actually, if we were to do that many projects, we'd actually drop into a deficit. So again, not saying that we're going to do all of those projects, 400,000 worth. The big thing is getting that structural analysis complete, that we can get some of those quotes in so we know a little bit better on what we're dealing with, and that'll let us plan for 2023 and what we're going to do. So 4 things that we need to do to submit this plan to MDE by July 31st, 2021. Sorry about that. You have the revenue sheet, expenditure, a statement of assurance, and a 10-year plan that must be adopted. So in your board package should be a board resolution excuse me, here's your revenue sheet. We just went through the expenditure sheet. Sue will need to sign the statement of assurance. And then the board resolution. So, sorry, did I fly through that too quickly? No. Okay. All right, any other questions on LTFM?
When I chose to be, or asked to be the spokesperson for LTFM, I didn't know that I was going to have you two. But, you know, from our last committee meeting, I mean, the head scratcher is the 37-50 structure. I think majority of us had taken the tour a couple months ago that Neil put on for us. And there's multiple issues there. And when they start talking about doing tuck pointing and then replacing that to 1,000 bricks, if they need to, the face falls off of them, we start looking at just one side of the building over by the wrestling rooms. And that $250,000 doesn't go that far. So that's where our head, scratch our head, then we see a wall blowing out and windows needing to be replaced and things like that. So I think it'll be very interesting to see what the structural engineer comes back with and what recommendations that they have.
And I think part of that structural analysis is the committee was wondering, do we have the tuck point? Can we cover it with metal or passport to talk about keep this, which is kind of like a stucco. So I think that structural analysis will shed some light on that too. It'll let us know what our options are.
Yeah.
All right, so do we have any other comments, questions? Thank you, Jason. All right, I'll be entertaining a motion and move an article the long-term facility maintenance plan. So,
Second.
so a motion to approve the long-term facilities maintenance plan. Any other comments? All right, we get to a vote then. All those in favor of approval? Any disapprove? Motion carries. 11.0 reports. You just talked about LTFM, everything else.
No.
Okay, so Jason summarized it on it. Well, the negotiation committee, then we met with the teachers group on Tuesday the 13th in the evening. Very productive meeting, very good discussion. There were some things that we agreed on the table. This is by the way our second meeting, and some other stuff is still open for discussion. We did dip into a little bit into the begin this talk on the salary and schedule and stuff like that. We'll go back to the negotiating table then on the 28th of July, 6 p.m. and continue our talks from there. But it's very positive, very good atmosphere. I think we made some good progress. Any other reports? No. All right, item 12.0, other. We need to reschedule the superintendent's evaluation that we were going to do tonight, but we just, due to particulars, we were just not able to do. So,
And I think we had, in talking with Director Ware, and how we're supposed to do the postponement, we were taking a look at the week of the 26th through the 29th to try and reschedule if at all possible. And I know that there is a Pine Prairie meeting on the 26th, so that night probably wouldn't work. But do you have availability 27th, 28th, or 29th?
for some negotiations.
Oh, that's right.
So
That's out. Yeah, that will take a while. But otherwise, we could push it back to just before the August meeting. That would be better for the board.
I'd rather get it done sooner rather than later. Are you thinking the week of the 26th is?
26th is the first week in August. I'm taking vacation next week. I'm tired.
Your birthday. Let's direct where it's going to range back as when you have
We had
work and stuff.
tentatively set that this week because thinking that we wanted to get it done. But, you know, we could go into that first week in August as well if that would work better for folks. Looks like we have a policy committee meeting on the 5th. I don't know if the MSBA will have those mandatory policies updated yet. So it really depends on what works best.
Well, except for a meeting, it's pretty open. It need to be no later in the evening, like no earlier than 6 p.m.
I'm not available until August.
Well, like for
Tuesdays are good day.
Tuesdays. Would Tuesday, August 3rd work? Okay.
I'll be gone the first week of August.
Oh.
It's good. You can have plenty of feedback.
And you can always send
Yeah,
something to us and we need to Director Mayor.
sure.
So we'll tentatively schedule it for Tuesday, August 3rd at 6:30. Does that work?
Sure.
Okay. And Tina will send out the notice and we'll send reminders. And this will be a closed session.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then, we schedule our next regular meeting will be August 19th from 21 to 7 p.m. in this room here. Otherwise, we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, the motion on the table to adjourn. We have anyone who does not wish to adjourn? Okay, first to adjourn. Things adjourned.
Either will first two.
You got it. Always.
Gary.
Good night, Peter.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Good night, Laura.
Thank
you. See you, Jason.
Just update her.